Hey, Inspire Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. It's John Nolan here. Sorry so much about the technical difficulties. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. We're excited that you're here. We're also winning, my friends. Yes. And it's just it's a little stormy around here. It's just a good day to get a few things off my chest. However, the first thing I want to do is start with a reading today and share something with you that some of you might know, some of you might not know, but something that I really have enjoyed for a very long time. This one's called If by Rudyard Kipling, okay? If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. It is probably one of my favorite poems ever written. Beautiful, to the point, and applicable in almost every life situation. Okay, now we got that out of the way. So, for those of you who are new here, for those of you who have been here for a very long time, I want to welcome everybody today into this discussion, like always. No matter what belief system, religion, race, ethnicity, or anything else that you might identify as or with. We have experienced over the years, and we've been in this field, in this arena, for a very long time, much longer than Inspired exists, by the way. We've been in this arena for 15, 20 years. And we've experienced all kinds of censorship, all kinds of, you name it, we had it. Agencies, wiretapping, house searches, you name it, we had it. But I will tell you, what surprises me the most, and where the greatest attacks against this quest for truth seem to come from, is from different communities. We put these people, these fighters with arrows on the thumbnail, and one of them had a cross on their back, one of them had the Star of David on their back, and one of them a New Age sign. And it is interesting that depending on what we talk about on the Inspired channel, we get attacks from one of the groups or from all of the groups. And that's fine. People can say whatever they want to say. But our mission statement is pretty clear. We're looking for and talking about and exploring the truth. The truth knows no religion. The truth does not care about anyone's belief systems. The truth doesn't care whether it fits in with a worldview or it doesn't. And the greatest censorship comes from those who have something to lose if the truth comes out. And we always think about power, we think about money, we think about politics, we think about all those things, but we never think about people and their belief systems and their boxes and that what they hold on to and what the truth might do to that. And as long as there are no-go zones, which means topics and subjects that are not to be explored deeper, not to be questioned, we will not find the exit. And this is what this has been really about. If you by now don't understand that whether you look at it symbolically or whether you look at it very physically, we're living in a matrix. There's a matrix around us that has been established a very, very long time ago. And because most of us were born into it, we couldn't see it at the beginning. Most people couldn't see it. And so all the solutions that they find, all the belief systems that they find are in boxes that exist within this matrix. Not saying that these solutions, belief systems, and boxes don't serve a purpose. I'm not saying that people don't feel better because they're in them. I'm not even saying that in these boxes you don't find some truth. But the important word here is some. All these boxes are designed to keep you from moving forward. And it is sort of like when you raise your consciousness and when you go up the ladder, at every stage, there is someone or something that's waving their hand and saying, come over here, come to my box. We have the truth. Of course, it's not the truth. It is a box to keep you there. And let's just explore a few. Let's just start with the group that gives us usually most grief. And again, I'm not saying this because I'm hurt. I really don't care. Is the New Age group. The New Age group is a very hard to define group because the belief system is very open, very broad, very fluid, if you will. But one thing that they seem to have in common is the mantra of the law of attraction, which is, where attention goes, energy flows. And basically what you think about, you create. And so if you pay attention to something, you create more of it. You give it your power automatically. And that's how you create more of it. And so whenever you explore a subject that you don't like, whenever you look at something that you think is not good or negative, whenever you look at any of the truths that were hidden so long from us, you are becoming a culprit because you're creating more of it, and you're negative, and you're fear mongering, and those are those are kind of the platitudes that come at you. Of course, based on a completely false premise, a misunderstanding of how the law of resonance or vibration frequencies, how these laws actually work. But that's not even the point. These things come from fear. These simply come from fear. We're only ignoring things that we're fearful of, fearful because they might bring up pain, fearful because we believe they might bring us something negative, or fearful because we believe they might put apart a belief system that we had. All that happens subconsciously, by the way. And instead of saying, well, either this is not for me or I'm not interested in this, they want the people around them to change. They want the people around them to shut up. They actually want to censor people. They don't want free speech. They just want their kind of free speech. And to a certain extent, and I don't want to ever brush everyone with the same, brush everyone with the same brush here. But very similarly, it is with many people that consider themselves to be Christians. You can say a lot of things as long as you begin and end with Jesus is King. If you have a different version of that, if you might not believe that the Bible is the pure truth, the pure gospel, if you look deeper into that and turn that stone over, then they'll do the same thing. Let's say this is blasphemy. This is just another new ager. This is just whatever, some label. And then when you go and you criticize the actions of a nation like Israel, then of course you're being targeted with the worst of accusations, right? That because you accuse a government, a military of atrocities, horrible things that you are hating on a whole people, which is, of course, it's a tactic, right? But so the overall theme is that if you really want to discover truth in this world of lies and deception, you will face a lot of resistance if you dare to speak it while you're exploring it and speak the truths that you find. You will have a whole war waged against you. We've been there, done that. Never stopped me, never will stop me. The point is this: there is an exit, there is an end. There is an end to this madness, to this deception, to the lies. There is an end point to this. There is a way out of it. I'm not saying that all lies will, cease to exist for eternity. No, what I'm saying is the rule of lies and deception. Lies and deception as a principle of polarity, light and darkness, yeah, sure. But the rule of lies and deception, that's something completely different. Is when that thought system of lies and deception is in power and rules over everything else, that has an expiration date, and that's coming very, very soon. To a certain extent, it's already come. But the idea that you should only focus on what you want to create in the world, that you should only think about the things that you would love to see, it is way too simplified. How would you know in a world of lies and deception what to support, who to align with? People want to build all kinds of new systems, new societies, new ways of living and whatnot. But how do you know? How do you know today? How do you know that chemtrails exist? How do you know that your tap water is fluoridated? How do you know that there's a secret dark hand that is running the show? How do you know that most of what the mainstream, or pretty much all of what the Mockingbird media says, is either taken out of context, completely inverted, or just a flat out lie? How do you know all these things? Because someone at some point decided to explore the truth and put it out there. So you could read a book, so you could watch a documentary, so you could find a video. Now, what a lot of the people are saying is, well, now that we know it, we need to move on. But what those people are completely not considering is how many people are on the same journey just now exploring. How many people need to see this? They need to know why there is a need for something new. They need to know why we need to change certain things. And if we don't get to the bottom of it, and I mean to the bottom of the pit, not to 2/3 down, we have to dive to the bottom of that ocean and discover everything. And if we don't, we will simply fall into the same trap as previous generations have. Me, I didn't come here to create a life that simply serves my ego wishes. If that were the case, well, we'd be out away from civilization, somewhere in the wilderness, keeping to ourselves, raising animals and having wonderful gardens, and I wouldn't have much to do with the world. But we didn't come here for this. We came here to complete something, to bring something to a completion. Something that, believe it or not, some of us, talking to you directly, have been at for a very long time, transcending one human lifetime. And we are very close to this, or we're in it. How would I know? But we're either very close or in this mass shift of awareness, a momentum of awareness that we keep talking about. And in this momentum of awareness, like I said before, at every little stage of awakening, there is somebody waving a sign telling you to join them, join their group, join their cult, join their religion, be saved, submit, fall in line. And within their box, they create something beautiful. They create community, they create joy, they create songs, they create everything. But when you start questioning the fabric of that box, when you start questioning the basis of their story, they get very hostile. And then you're out. You either commit fully to a predetermined belief system where you don't know where it came from, you don't know who created it, you don't know for what, but you have to submit to it, or you can't be a part of it. Every single religious, spiritual group does that. We've been in and out of those boxes, exploring them, looking at them, and we found the same thing over and over again. There's no fundamental difference between Muslims, Christians, Jews, New Agers. Not a fundamental difference. People think there is, but not really. It's all functioning by the same rules that you're not allowed to question. And if you do, they kick you out. Then you're blasphemous. Here's the point. I just don't see how a creative being, an all-powerful creative being, God, the creator, whatever you want to call the being, that created everything, would need that. Would need to put you in artificial boxes and give you all these artificial rules that only make sense if you study the scriptures, and that only within certain context start to fall in place. That would exclude, for the vast majority of the history of the earth, all people. They couldn't read. There was no such book. They didn't have access to it. And yet you find a spiritual people everywhere. You find that there is no indigenous community that isn't spiritual. Well, isn't that interesting? And then you go and you look at the track record of these religions. Well, not so good. Christian track record is not really good. I'm just thinking of the Crusades. But let's not look that far back. Have the Crusades ever stopped? Ask the indigenous people of North America. Just ask the Aboriginal people of Australia if the Crusades have ever stopped. If they were robbed of their culture, if they were forced to give up their religion, if they were forced to give up their medicine, if they were forced to give up their way of life, their language, their songs, their tradition, their ceremonies. Up until 1985 in the United States, it was forbidden for the indigenous people of Turtle Island, of North America, to practice their medicine, their religions, even their language. It was formally forbidden. Can you imagine that? So we don't have a stellar track record if you consider us a Christian or Judeo-Christian system. Well, neither do the Jews. They don't have a stellar track record. The chosen people. You're not allowed to say that because you're an anti-Semite if you say it. But, there's a whole lot of control in the hands of a very few people. They all belong to the same people. It's very interesting. A minority in each population, but a majority in every power and financial structure. Well, did the Muslims have a great track record? Have they radicalized millions and millions of people against others? Sent them into wars with bombs and suicide bombs and what? I mean, we could go on and on and on and on and on. And I know there will be those who will point out that the fundamentals of their religion don't teach that. And I would tend to agree that a lot of those fundamentals of those religions don't actually teach that. It's humans who make that happen. It's humans who take things out of context. It's humans who always hijack things, yes. But if we go far back enough, or far enough back, we will find that those religions were actually created for this particular reason. It's pouring here. The religions were created to divide us, for us to never find the truth. There is some truth in every religion, but they were created to divide us, to keep us locked into a system, so we would never find the greater truths of life. Spirituality to me is a different thing. Everything is spiritual to me. A true connection with the Creator is a spiritual thing. I truly don't need religion for that. I do see the value in some religious practices, don't get me wrong. But it seems that the people who are most afraid of freedom are those who subscribe in the deepest ways to a particular belief system. And then that belief system trumps the truth. Even if they're confronted with the truth, they can't see it. Have we not seen this in the religion of science? In a religion of science, the truth did not matter. Trust the science. Follow the science. Do not do your own research. And if you come to different conclusions, you're wrong, because in the belief system of science, science is God until science changes. And then you can't hold anyone accountable for the previous science because they didn't know better. Then we have amnesty. But that is just another religion. And hundreds of millions of people were willing to fight to the bone and willing to lock people up, willing to rat out their neighbors, their family members. They were willing to have people put in concentration camps because they did not follow and believe in the same God as they do. And I've said this before, and I'll say this again. There is a very positive and beautiful thing about the Christian revival. There's a beautiful aspect to that. And there's a very, very dangerous aspect I see in a lot of people. I see that aspect that those that are currently criticizing the current system and the woke system and the Marxist, if you will, or communist, whatever you want to call it, they're criticizing it for being tyrannical, for being dictatorial, for not tolerating anyone else. I see the tendencies in those people when they do come to power, when they do control a certain sphere of influence, to have very similar behavior patterns. They might do it in slightly different ways, but I see it. A push that you need to believe what I believe. And you need to speak as I do. And you need to look as I do. And if you don't, well, you can't be a part of this here. We can't have you here. And there's a fine line between you exercising your freedom, speaking your freedom, and getting into the space of other people's freedom and restricting theirs. Once your expression of freedom starts restricting somebody else's freedom, it's not freedom anymore. And if people come and they come and they send us messages and they send us emails and they leave us comments and they criticize us for what we do, for how we say it, for why we say it, for what we should say differently, well, just move on if you don't like it. Who's keeping you? You don't like what I say? That's totally fine. As I said many times before, I might not agree with what you're saying, but I will stand up every single day for your right to say it. Or for let's say, for the lived reality that you have that right you have by birth. But so it's a lived reality. I'll stand up for it. But if you don't like it, move on. I'm not here to please anybody. If at some point there will be 10 of us standing against the rest of humanity, and because the rest of humanity believes in a lie, that'll be fine too. That'll be just fine and dandy. There was never a time in my life, and that's how I take that from personal experience and from working with people over many years, and from Christine working with people over many, many years. There was never a single person who was able to change anything in their life without first looking at the truth of the situation. Unless they looked at the facts of their life, of their past, of their pain, of their trauma, of their guilt, of their shame, whatever it was, unless they were able to look at it and able to heal and find forgiveness for themselves, unless they were able to send love to that part of them that was hurt, which they couldn't have seen if they weren't willing to look at the truth, there is no change. There is no such thing as ignoring the truth and thinking you can change something for the better. It never, ever has worked in the history of anything. That we still have to have that discussion is sad, but that seems to be the way. You can be of the Jewish faith and you can live your faith and still see how horrific the actions by a government and a military are. You can be of the Muslim faith and have your faith and still see the actions of regimes and governments and militaries and frankly extremist actors as horrible. You can do this as a Christian. You can do this as a New Ager. You can do this. You can actually put the truth above everything. To me, the Creator equals truth. That's it. That's all there is. The Creator equals truth. And the idea, the fundamental idea is whether you're a Christian or whether you're a Jew, whether you're a Muslim, they really don't care, by the way. They don't care. What they care about is to keep you in this particular matrix here. And you stay here by not questioning that which rules you. If a belief system rules you, go and look at it. For crying out, go and explore it. Go and really take a step back and see if it's actually the truth. I'll say this again. I said this, I think, on Locals a few days ago. According to, depending on who you listen to, the Bible has, 66 or more authors? Many of which are unknown. Yet the Christian doctrine says that all the authors of the Bible had their words dictated, if you will, by God, and it is God speaking through them. But we don't even know who these people were. Written over a span officially of at least 1,500 years, if not more. Likely more. Some texts of the Bible point to much older texts. Written in different languages, different dialects. 1,500 years or more. But yet it's the truth. But not even the source document. The truth is the King James Version or the other version or any translation that contradict each other. And it's protected by some divine decree. This book is protected. Never mind that the Vatican has confirmed they've taken books out of it. Never mind that you had multiple councils over the last 2,000 years where doctrines were decided on, voted on. Jesus being the Son of God was something being voted on. It was voted on by the church hundreds of years after Jesus' life. Reincarnation taken out of it, and many other things simply decided on. We just celebrated Easter. Just look at the word Easter and where it comes from. It has nothing to do with Christianity. Bunnies, eggs, nothing to do with Christianity. Those were rituals and ceremonies borrowed from previous religions that are in complete contradiction to Christianity. All these big celebrations seem to always align with the solstices and the equinox. Those are, in Christian words, pagan festivities. And yet, you know how many figures were born on December 25th in history? To a virgin, visited by wise men, bearing gifts. You think that's the first time that happened? Think again, look to Hinduism, look to Egypt, look to Persia. They all have these stories and they're much, much older. We just borrow. We just take things and they just take things and they put them in a mishmash and they put them together and then they made sure people couldn't learn. Kept them ignorant and stupid. Dumbed them down so they couldn't find out themselves. But that doesn't mean that there isn't something higher, something greater, that there isn't a creative source energy, a creative source creator, intelligent, loving, obviously life affirming. It doesn't mean that. But this is all about keeping a matrix alive, a matrix that feeds on fear, that feeds on uncertainty, that feeds on the ignorance of who we truly are, that feeds on our inability to be healthy and to be strong and to be balanced. And we simply can't get there unless we first comprehend what is keeping us from getting there. I will never understand. I look at, we live in a buckle of the Bible Belt, and I look at those people that go in and out of church, and they come out of church on a Sunday. And I'm sorry, I'm being very, I don't mean to be rude, but they're very, 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 very obese. They come out of that church. They barely get into the car, and they drive to some fast food place where they continue to hurt the temple that they just affirmed was created by God. How do you reconcile these things? How do you continue to hurt yourself? And how do you continue to hurt that which was given to you? How do you continue to practice immorality and at the same time submit to your Lord and Savior? I'm much more interested in practical spirituality, living truth. And I don't pretend I have it. All I'm saying is that's what we're exploring every day. And if that truth shows me that a previous belief of mine was wrong, well, then so be it. Then I'll give that belief up. And that to me is the only way out, by the way. And everybody is free to believe whatever they want. You can believe whatever you think, whatever you want to. Sooner or later, it might be in the way of the truth, and you'll have to decide what's more important. Somebody said something beautiful, a comment I read earlier today. When you bring something into the open, into the light, which means when you uncover something that was previously covered, the healing tends to start immediately. When the light shines on the truth, that seems to start healing. What we bring out of the darkness seems to start healing. I don't know what else to say. I don't know how to be something else or somebody else. I don't want to be. This is what I'm tasked. This is what we're tasked with. So if that's not your cup of tea, please, no offense. Don't be offended, and none offense is taken. Just move on. Go somewhere else. That's totally fine. But if it is, don't take my word for it. It can be a source of inspiration. Go look deeper if that's what you want to do. All I'm saying is, if you watch the movie The Truman Show, it's a good allegory, if you will, then there is a whole world. It looks so real. But if you tuned in, you could feel the fakeness of it more and more. And at the end, there was an exit. There is an exit. And this is what we're exploring. How do we get out of this madness? Because this is not our true home. I can promise you that. So much is clear. This artificial world is not our true home. It cannot be. Because those who connect with spirit can feel the discrepancy in vibration and frequency. And so what we're saying is there's an exit. And the exit marks the entry to something different. And whether that means that we change ourselves enough so that this ceases to exist, or whether we go to a different place, I don't know. We'll see. But I'll be here to explore it with you. So, You can keep your arrows. If you're shooting arrows, you can keep them. It doesn't affect our work, and we won't be silenced by anybody. There's enough entities that have tried. And why can't we just agree to disagree sometimes and go, you do you and we'll do us? All right. Much love, my friends. Many blessings. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll be back with you again very, very soon.